It is a great honor to be here today. I think since we are the guest here, everybody, we should just have Judge Nunez come over here and I think bring greetings on behalf of the court system here in Louisiana and here certainly in Chalmette. Thank you very much, ma'am, for having us. If you would like, please, to bring greetings, we would really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I met some of you earlier. I am Judge Jean Nunez Juno. I am the senior judge here at the 34th Judicial District Court. I am also honored to be the first female judge, as well as an Isleño descendant. I want to welcome you all. It's my great honor to do that. We're so happy to have you here and to have you appreciate this beautiful courthouse that we have. I also want to give special thanks to the Lafayette Trail Foundation, as well as the Daughters of the American Revolution, for giving us this beautiful Lafayette marker. I'm sure that you all saw it when you came in. It is outstanding. We placed it in the very front of our courthouse where all the ingress and egress happens so that everyone can share it. It commemorates a significant point in history, and we are so appreciative that you provided us with that. And we thank you for being here today to celebrate it with us.
Thank you very much, Judge. At this point, it is my pleasure to welcome Cheryl Gott, State Regent of the Louisiana Society Daughters of the American Revolution. Mrs. Gott, would you like to bring greetings?
Thank you, Julian. And thank you, Judge Nunez, for that lovely welcome and the lovely welcome we've had from some of the other justices that are here, the historian of the area. And I just think that the daughters are very, very blessed to be here today and to be welcomed in such a fine fashion. We thank you for the opportunity to celebrate this wonderful dedication here in this beautiful courthouse on such an amazing day. The day that we feel that Marquis de Lafayette must have certainly enjoyed his boat ride along the river, and hopefully he was enjoying a sunny day along the Mississippi, whereas we had a little different welcome today with the local climate. But we thank you so much for your warm welcome and your warm smiles. And we are pleased, very pleased to be here. And I'm so pleased to see so many daughters or real troopers, and you've made it here to celebrate this dedication marker with us today. Our spirits are not dampened, even though the weather may have tried to. So thank you all for your welcome.
Mrs. Gott, you could not be more right when you mentioned the weather, because in fact, when Lafayette came here, it was this exact day, April the 10th, 1825. It was actually pouring rain. So we did our best to reproduce the conditions, and I think we did a great job, so congrats. Yeah. We want to be as historically accurate as possible, and I think we really made it here, so kudos to everybody. Our next speaker is Bill Highland, because I think, Bill, you wanted to talk a little more about the courthouse here before we move on with the rest of the program. We're going to show you at the end this Follow the Frenchman episode that was produced in joint partnership with the Louisiana Society Daughters of the American Revolution that is taking place at Plaquemines Parish. So we will show this video at the end of the program before we can all go to see the formal unveiling of the marker. But before we do that, we just wanted to give a little more clarity, a little more explanation about this space where we are. And we just think Bill is a great person to do that. Please, would you please like to bring greetings? Thank you so much.
Happy to do that. Thank you. So, you can see I've been in this room before, so. And before I begin, I should recognize that we have another wonderful public official here, our assessor, Jalen Bergeron-Turner, who is also descendant of Canary Islanders and people who fought under Governor Galvez. And we have our chief judge this year, William McGoy. So in any event, let me tell you about this courthouse. This is our 5th courthouse. Like St. John the Baptist Parish, our courthouse was originally next to St. Bernard Church because the courthouse was established in the post-commandant's office. and it was a brick building. We've actually found the archaeological remains. From there, in 1848, it moved to the site where it was from 1848 until 1939. And it was actually donated to St. Bernard Parish by Jean's great-great-great-uncle, Vicente Nunez. Nunez's have been here a long time. And then, of course, finally, we had Dr. Merrow come to power as sheriff in the 1920s. And he was a reformer, and he reformed much. And one of the things that he did was to try to destroy the power base of the established order. So one of the ways he did it was to actually have the courthouse moved from where it had been since 1848 to this site. So this building was designed by the firm of Weiss, Dreyfus, and Seifert. And for those of you from Baton Rouge, you know they were the architectural firm who designed our gorgeous skyscraper functioning state capitol. So many of the same design elements you'll see in this room and throughout the courthouse. Weiss, Dreyfus, and Seifert, among other things, also did the Charity Hospital Complex here in New Orleans. So in any event, this room, when it was constructed, or this courthouse contained in this room, was the largest courtroom, I'm sorry, in the state of Louisiana when it was completed. The courthouse was dedicated in 1939, and there's been a lot of history here. We received the President of the Canary Islands here. We received the Prime Minister of Spain, Adolfo Suarez, here. The Isleño Society was incorporated in this room in 1976. So there are many connections to the history of this parish. And then one of the things I do want to call to your attention, the beautiful stained glass windows. The one to the left depicts the Battle of New Orleans, January 8th, 1815, and it's taken from the Hyacinthe Laclotte painting and lithograph depicting the battle, the actual battle at Chalmette's plantation. And then next to that is the stained glass window which depicts the founding of St. Bernard Parish by colonists from Spain's Canary Islands in 1779, 1780, during the governorship of Bernardo de Galvez. And of course, this parish of St. Bernard is named St. Bernard, or San Bernardo, in honor of Galvez. And of course, he was a colleague of sorts of General Lafayette, and a very important figure in our history, and we're very proud of him. We also have the former Governor General of the Granaderos de Galvez here, Bob Freeland, today. So anyway, enough of all of this. You're not here to hear me. I just want to thank all of you for coming. It's a very great, wonderful gift you've given to the people of St. Bernard Parish. It's something that we will cherish, and we thank you for coming, and always know that you have a home here with us. Thank you so much.
One of our partners as well for this nationwide Lafayette Trail project is the William G. Pomeroy Foundation. They are headquartered out of New York State, specifically Syracuse, New York. So they cannot be with us today, but it is customary that they send us remarks to be read on their behalf, to be part in spirit of this commemoration. Charlotte White, on behalf of the Lafayette Trail, if you would please bring greetings, read the remarks sent by Bill Pomeroy, the founder of the William G. Pomeroy Foundation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julian. Congratulations from all of us at the William G. Pomeroy Foundation on the dedication of your Lafayette Trail historic marker. We send our greetings from Syracuse, New York, as you commemorate Revolutionary War hero General Lafayette's 1825 visit to Louisiana and his stop at the Chalmette battlefield. At the Pomeroy Foundation, one of our main initiatives is to help people celebrate their community's history. We do this by offering grants for historical markers and plaques nationwide, as well as several other history-related initiatives such as the National Historic Marker Day, which will take place later this month on Friday, April 26th. We feel strongly that markers help educate the public, encourage pride of place, and promote historic tourism. How did our mission come about? I have been passionate about history since my childhood. I have fond memories of riding in the car with my father, who was a traveling salesman, and seeing historical markers we would stop for and read together. In 2005, I established the foundation and made funding markers a priority among our first initiatives. I had learned that New York State had stopped funding its marker program decades ago and had left it to communities to raise funds on their own. This was the impetus for our first marker grant program and later became the springboard for several more programs, including funding markers on the Lafayette Trail. The bicentennial of the farewell tour begins this year, and we have committed to funding up to 175 markers, now including one specifically recognizing the general service in the American Revolution in multiple states and Washington, D.C. As we celebrate Lafayette's visit to Louisiana, we are reminded that the history of the farewell tour touches countless sites across the country. We commend your efforts to bring greater attention to Lafayette's impact on American history and the enduring friendship between France and the U.S. Thank you to the Lafayette Trail founder and president, Julian O'Shea, the Louisiana Daughters of the American Revolution, and all those who were involved in this marker project. We know this marker will ensure the General's contributions to our nation's founding will stand as an enduring testament for future generations. From all of our dedicated staff and trustees at the Pomeroy Foundation, congratulations. Sincerely, Bill Pomeroy.
Thank you, Mrs. White. I will bring my personal remarks that will be sort of a transition with the video for you all. I would like to talk about Lafayette. I would like to say, number one, that his visit to Louisiana was very special for numerous reasons. Obviously, the French background of the state is extremely important to him. It is also because, you know, Lafayette was a great American hero, revered around the country as a Revolutionary War veteran, a champion of American freedom. And he and his secretary, when they came to Louisiana, they were also showing the rest of the world that the spirit of the American Revolution elevates communities all over the country now. And I think they came to Louisiana to recollect evidence of what he considers the superior nature of the Republican institutions of the United States in general as a nation, because he was trying to accomplish the same in Europe, which will be a quest he will have had his entire life, in fact, since the French Revolution in 1789 all the way until the Revolution of July of 1830. Lafayette will be trying to install freedom in France and in Europe with the same spirit and success that he had had here in the United States. This is a conversation completely, it can take a long time to explain, but I think when he came to Louisiana, he had that in mind, and I think that's very important to emphasize that. He visited here the site before arriving to New Orleans on April the 10th, 1825. The very stop he made when he got off the Natchez steamboat was here. And I would like to say the story of his journey up the Delta to come here is going to something that you're going to see later in the video, but it is a beautiful story in and of itself. He had spent the night before, on April the 9th, on the Natchez, off of a plantation at Braithwaite, what's now Braithwaite, English Turn at the time. And the next day, he proceeded here in Chalmette, and he got off the boat, and local officials received him. He went to see specifically the headquarters of Andrew Jackson during the Battle of New Orleans, and there was a reason for that, because one of the key features that defined Lafayette's political identity in France and in the US was an embrace of the militia. So the Battle of New Orleans was very, very intimately connected with the spirit of the militia. And I think to me there was an endorsement there that he made, and I think it's very important to emphasize that. And so sure enough, after Chalmette, he continued on to New Orleans and spent 5 days there until the 15th, and then go on to Baton Rouge, and then go on all the way to St. Louis, Missouri. So the visit to Louisiana is part of an entire 13-month journey, and we happen to be celebrating this very commemorative marker on the exact same day, 199 years ago when Lafayette was here. That is why we decided to do it today, not because we knew the weather was going to be terrible, but because it was actually an anniversary. that's what I would like to say before, without being too long. I would also like to introduce the video that we're going to show you in just a moment. The video explores, we don't just talk about cultural history and Lafayette, but we also try to connect it with fluvial geomorphology and how the communities here relate to the river, how they live with it, what's happening to the delta, sediment starvation, high subsidence rates on the eastern half of the delta. And we are using the sites that Lafayette saw when he was up the Mississippi River above the Natchez in 1825, and we're comparing it with the geography that we see today. This is the spirit of the video. So I'm just going to hook it up behind me, and if there's a way to lower the lights, I'm just going to take care of that, and then in like 1 minute or so, we'll be playing the video. But I would like to say a major thank you to all of you who have braved the weather to come here in this beautiful courthouse, and I hope you'll stay afterward for the reception and also for the unveiling of the marker, because yes, it is still pouring outside a little bit, but there's a cover on the sign, and yes, it shall be unveiled. Thank you so much. Let me guess. You're probably wondering what I'm doing here. Well, you see, 200 years ago, Lafayette came here. Exactly. That French character from Hamilton. On April the 9th, 1825, he sailed up the Mississippi River on his way to New Orleans. Along the way, he passed by a system of fortifications established on the river, including Fort Balize, Fort Jackson, and Fort St. Philip. Today we're heading out to the river to find traces of his visit and see for ourselves what is left of those forts. This area has changed quite a lot since 1825, but perhaps the story of Lafayette's visit can show us what has stayed the same.
This is the lower Mississippi River model. Its purpose is to mimic sediment and water movement in the lower Mississippi River and kind of really reproduce those processes for how sand and water moves throughout southeast coastal Louisiana. So at the mouth of the Mississippi River, we have three branches. Southwest Pass going to the southwest, South Pass which is coming right at us, and then going off to the east is Pass Salute. And Southeast Pass is a little bifurcation or distributary off of Pass Salute going down to the southeast. So the Mississippi River formed all these wetlands at the mouth of the river. So all the sediment coming from Canada and most of the United States comes down the Mississippi River and spreads itself out over this complex we call the Birdfoot Delta, these marshes. And that black that you see, a lot of that is sediment, or sand, real heavy sand. So you can see as the river keeps that sand in suspension, it'll flow down Southwest Pass, it'll flow down South Pass, but if you look closely, there's a little less going down Pass Salute, and even less than that going down Southeast Pass. And what's happening is that eastern side of the delta is being sediment starved, so it's starting to erode.
Right, okay.
This whole system is very dynamic, and as Southwest Pass has captured more of the flow of the river, other passes receive less. So the original channel that was used for any significant terms of commerce was Belize Bayou, which went into Southeast Pass, which went into Pass Salute, and then up to New Orleans. So that was the original shipping channel back in the 1700s.
Try to get this map laid out. So this is the Bird's Foot Delta.
Okay.
You excited to be down here?
Yes, sir.
So when we came in, we came out here at the head of passes right past Pilot Town, and we came down to our camp right here. We call it Frog Hole. It's just off of this little bay.
Right across the Lucha, right?
Yep.
So there used to be a French fort called the Balize, the Fort of the Balize. This is a map from a study made by the state of Louisiana. So it does show you the fort was right off the southeast pass, right? So do you think there's a way you can get us to the side where it was, or? That's my hope?
I think that this canal here coming across is similar in shape to this one here, right off the map of current day at post-Katrina.
Okay.
And I know that area pretty well, so I think we can get in there very close.
Okay. So we searched up and down the bayou here. We even plugged in GPS coordinates. That's the closest we can get to the old Balize Bayou.
This is it. This is what you'll see from here until you hit the Gulf.
Well, we might have one more option that we can try.
This area of Louisiana has some really high subsidence rate, which means everything out here is sinking, going down quickly. It's new sand, it's new land, it's still compacting. So if you were to go out to Belize and say, I want to go to Belize and take a look at that place, well, it's not there anymore. I mean, it is, but it's about 6 to 10 feet underwater because that fort and all its weight has sunk in those muddy sands over the years. So Belize is still there, but it's well underwater, well under the mud.
Yeah, I mean, we're right on it.
Yeah. Hurricane damage.
Absolutely.
It was rebuilt, different locations. And I mean, I guess at some point people give up. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, you can only do so much and handle it for so long until you give up and, you know, move on. So you can save yourself the trip. Nothing remains of Fort Belize. Maybe it's too much to expect an old historic fort to be standing proud today in a landscape like this. After passing by Fort Belize, Lafayette continued up the delta aboard the Natchez. Meandering his way upriver, he was honored by a gun salute fired from Fort St. Philip, near Bayou Mardi Gras. Fort St. Philip is hard to get to today. It's much easier to visit Fort Jackson, where a Lafayette Trail marker was installed. But, thanks to our amazing guides, we're heading to the opposite shore of the river now to see what, if anything, remains of Fort St. Philip. Well, here's a piece of concrete. Yeah, that's it. Fort St. Philip is a creation of man. But walking on the grounds where it was built, it is clear to anyone that the presence of mankind has become a distant memory. Bushes, animals, quagmires and marshes have taken over land that men abandoned to
to nature. The main difference with Belize is that this one is still here with us at the surface. In a way, we feel bad for it because we know what's coming and we feel like there's nothing we can do to stop it. Fort St. Philip has yet to concede to the river. Part of the original and added fortifications remain visible to this day. As they are, as a ruin, they tell us a story about ourselves and how we leave our marks on this world. Fort St. Philip might be fully submerged one day, but it will never sink into oblivion.
Your whole drive down through Plaquemines Parish, you're on Highway 23 and you're stuck between two levees. But once you break out of that, it's untamed, you know, no protection here. You're in between where the Gulf of Mexico and the Mississippi River meet, and they're butting heads.
You guys survive. You just make it. This is kind of the frontier. Like, this is the frontier of our civilization. That's like losing to Mother Nature every day, you know? So what's the future for the camp here?
Yeah, I mean, I come down here and think that this is the greatest place ever as far as being an outdoorsman and hunting and fishing.
Whoa!
What is it? Cat Dad?
And I think that, you know,
That thing is big!
All right.
it's perfect. But what's sad about this parish, just like what's happened down here, you know, like La Belize and everywhere else, is these hurricanes continue to beat the area down. The people that have lived here and grown up here, and their grandparents have grown up here, and their grandparents have grown up here, have had to move away because the hurricanes just continue to beat down on it. So to find people that want to stay down here and continue to keep this heritage, culture, all these things going, it's going to be tough to continue to find people that are interested in keeping this up, because so many people have moved out of this parish. They've been forced. You know, it's not just the gnats and the mosquitoes. The hurricanes destroy their homes and they can't rebuild, and they move further north. That's what happens. According to the Advocate last year, which they have a newspaper article about it, and you can see our camp pictured in the article, there's 100 years left. Pasalutra's doomed. In 100 years, this will be the Gulf of Mexico.
Do you agree with that?
It's hard to disagree with it.
Meeting people like Chris, Lauren, and Nolan, seeing how much this place means to them, it's hard to think about the next 100 years. It's very clear that this sort of cultural heritage ties them together as a family. People here know that more destructive natural disasters are just around the corner, that it's only a matter of time. Regardless of pending threats, people go on with their own individual pursuit of happiness, just like anywhere else in the country, because they know that they can always rebuild somewhere else, just like their ancestors rebuilt forts. Resilience is part of who they are. It's also part of what it means to live here as a community. When you know that your environment can change abruptly from one day to another, you value the story, and you pass it along, because the memory of your home lives inside it. Home becomes more than a place. It's an idea with its own narrative. What keeps the community alive is the story that connects it all together. no matter where home goes.
Thank you very much. And so at this point, I think we're going to move on with the unveiling outside, and then we can go on to the reception. But yeah, conclusion of the video, we talked about resilience. I think that's us today. We're very resilient, and we pulled through, and we made it happen. So once again, grateful to everybody here that made it happen and possible, and I look forward to unveiling the marker and giving a testament with one side in French and one side in English of Lafayette's visit and why it matters to people here. Thank you.